Hey, what's up guys? Dan here, and in today's video, I'm going to be revealing to you how you are probably being scammed on Alibaba and you don't even know it. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about Alibaba and specifically the 5 best Alibaba hacks to find amazing suppliers. And this is something that I've learned over, selling through e-commerce over the years on Amazon, on Shopify, and on various online platforms. And so that's why I'm super excited for this video today. And I know that if you're a beginner out there, then there's just so much that you can be doing right now on Alibaba to make sure that you're really finding the absolute best supplier for your product, because with e-commerce, the product and finding an amazing supplier is like the biggest key, because if your supplier is not good, well then your whole business doesn't exist. Your business falls apart because your business is your product. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, there is a 99% chance you are being scammed on Alibaba, and I'm going to explain. There's a massive difference between how beginner e-commerce and Amazon sellers, and by the way, this video applies to anybody who's trying to source products on Alibaba for whatever reason. If it's selling on Amazon, if it's selling on a Shopify store, or anything else, this video will help you out just because it's about sourcing with Chinese suppliers in general through Alibaba. And so there is a massive difference between how beginner e-commerce and Amazon sellers are finding suppliers and prices and how the veterans are doing it. And of course, when you're just, when you're brand new at anything, you have no idea, like you only know the basics. And so when I was brand new a few years ago, when I was just starting out with e-commerce and selling on Amazon, I had no idea about all the tricks that I could be using to get the best possible prices and all of the, filters that I should be looking at, all the things I should be looking at on Alibaba before choosing a supplier. And even though it did work, I've grown multiple brands to 7 figures a year, and I've done that through a lot of platforms. I've done that on e-commerce, I've done that through info products, and through that has been a massive learning experience, especially with dealing with suppliers. So that's why I made this video for you guys. Let's go ahead and get started. There's a ton of content in here. Let's go. So I'll show you the 5 most important hacks that you must know, and the reason for that is we're going to be getting amazing prices and amazing quality product all the time, every time. So whenever you need to source a supplier, whenever you need to source a product, then you're going to be sure that you're getting the best price and the best quality product. Because the biggest problem with e-commerce and the biggest problem that I see with beginners nowadays is that they simply say, they try like for a day or two, they try to go and find a product on Alibaba, right? And they're trying to start their online business. They're trying to quit their 9-to-5 job. They're trying to start a passive income business in order to have, spend more time with their family, travel the world, and have financial freedom. And so they're trying to do all these things. And when they find a product, they kind of just get upset because the prices that the Alibaba suppliers are giving them are very high, and they don't even know that they're so high. They don't even know that these prices are actually incredibly scam prices. Like they're actually incredibly high, and they don't know that you have to negotiate and things like that. That price is not even at all the price that you should be paying. So it all starts with knowing the secret structure of Alibaba, exactly how it works, how the algorithm works. And years of finding suppliers and millions of dollars in product sales have taught me what works and what doesn't. So right here, as you can see, this is the Alibaba algorithm. And it might look super confusing. It probably does. Actually, the first time I saw this on the Alibaba website, that's where I took it from, I was like, what does this even mean? And so what Alibaba tried to do is they tried to explain how their algorithm works. And there are so many products on Alibaba. There are so many suppliers. And this is not something that me and you would think about on an everyday basis when we're trying to find products. But in reality, this is something incredibly important to know how this works to make sure that you're finding, the top tier supplier, the best supplier with the best product and at the cheapest, most reasonable price. So how this works is, I'm going to show you guys this right now. I'm going to explain this. Let's say that we go on Alibaba and we type in Sherpa blanket. Now, the only reason I'm saying Sherpa blanket because it's actually an amazing Amazon product that I found literally yesterday, and I made a video about that as well. But when you type in Sherpa blanket on Alibaba, what happens is that 11,761 products show up. I just did this before making this video, and so that's how many products show up. And out of those 11,761 products, we have 753 suppliers. And then if you go and then turn on trade assurance and verified supplier, this used to be called gold supplier when I first started. And if you turn on both verified and trade assurance, well, then we only have 106 suppliers. And so those 106 suppliers, one of those is a supplier that we want to be choosing for our product. And so what happens is that supplier in one of those 106, that supplier is in the supplier's maintenance quality category all the way at the top of this pyramid. And what happens is that when we see like around 12,000 products on Alibaba, a lot of those are like basically they get filtered out by Alibaba because their algorithm just filters out like the suppliers that put fake information on their profile, and that happens a lot because it's China. These things happen. These things happen all over the world, and so they put in fake information. They lie about not being a trading company, for example. We're going to talk about that as well. Incredibly important. And they also lie about their company revenue, things like that. And so that's what Alibaba calls trick searching. And so what they do is they search for tricks, and they search for basically lies, and so they filter out those suppliers. And so basically by turning on verified and trade assurance, most likely you will be finding a supplier at the top there in the supplier's maintenance quality. That's what they call it in that category. So let's talk about the best way to find an Alibaba supplier before we get into the 5 hacks. Very important. So our main goal with Alibaba, this is something that you have to understand before you even start searching for suppliers. Our main goal is to find a supplier that is at the top of that pyramid that we were just looking at, the algorithm pyramid of Alibaba. So they're a verified supplier, and they're assessed, and they've got trade assurance. And to also, meanwhile, get the lowest best price for the highest quality product. If we can achieve this goal, then we have the best possible supplier for our needs, for our e-commerce brand, whether it's on Amazon, on Shopify, or anywhere else. And so there's also the fact that we need to be reading between the lines, and we must look at all of the data that Alibaba gives us when shopping for a supplier. And that's what we're doing when we're searching for a supplier. We're just essentially shopping. So we have to be looking at the company name, years in business, manufacturer versus middleman. This is super, super important. Nobody talks about this on YouTube. I haven't seen anybody talk about this. So very important. And then the biggest mistake that beginners make is that they only contact, 1, maybe 2 suppliers. They agree to their minimum order quantity and their asking price, and then they complain that they're not making any profit with their products, and so they don't even launch, and they just give up on their online business and passive income dreams. And so it's like, for me, I actually fell for this mistake. And if I didn't realize that, hey, it's me doing things wrong, not like the system, not that, e-commerce doesn't work. Obviously it works 2019. I realized quickly. And then, that's essentially like I learned how to actually find great suppliers and things like that you have to contact more than 1 or 2, and that the MOQ is just like it's a recommendation. It's not actually fact, and as well as the asking price. In fact, everything on Alibaba is just a recommendation. That's what you have to see it as. It's not set in stone. So let's talk about the very first hack, and that is avoiding middlemen. So it's extremely important to avoid middlemen. And most of you, I can say this right now, as a fact, most of you are probably buying from middlemen without even knowing it. If you're already selling on Amazon, you've got a product, or you're already selling on your Shopify store, or you have an e-commerce brand and you're selling through social media or whatever it is, you're probably buying from middlemen and you don't even know it. And this is causing you to lose a ton of potential profit that could be going directly into your pocket and is instead going into the middleman's pocket. And so on Alibaba, I'll just explain here. On Alibaba, we've got 3 supplier types. We've got the manufacturer, we've got the manufacturer/trading company, and then we've got the trading company. And so the middleman is the trading company. And that's what the screenshot at the bottom there, I took that directly from Alibaba. I found a middleman, and when you go to their supplier page, you'll see that the business type is actually a trading company. And so how a middleman works is, just to briefly explain here, middlemen buy product at low prices from factories, so from manufacturers in China, and then they resell it to you at a much higher price, causing you to lose a lot of potential profit, obviously, and they pocket the difference. So our main goal with Alibaba is to avoid middlemen. If we can just avoid middlemen, this is the most common mistake I see with sourcing and with beginners, with Amazon, with Shopify. If we can just avoid middlemen, then we already set ourselves up maybe like 80% more ahead than everybody else in terms of finding a great product at a great price. So now let's talk about some of the best tricks to quickly recognize middlemen, like right away. Me, of course, I can, like right now, I can just go on the website and I know what a middleman looks like and then what an actual factory looks like. So, of course, the very first giveaway is the supplier type on Alibaba, and that's misaligned. That should be a little bit under there. But the supplier type on Alibaba, if it says trading company, then that is a middleman 100%. Also, the company address, and this can be found when you just go on the supplier page on Alibaba. So if the company address says something like Building 3, Office 1A, Science and Technology Park, well, why would a factory address be, an office building or like a super high floor in an office building? It doesn't make any sense, right? So typically, or actually 99% of the time, if it's a manufacturer, the address would be like Industrial Zone A factory. It would be in the industrial district of the city, of that city where they're located. So you can actually just go and pull it up on Google Maps. So I found a middleman, and then I actually actually took their address here. And so as you can see, the operational address 1/F means they're on floor number 1, building 21 in Jinchuan Science and Technology Park. And that is in that area there, Nanjing, Jiangsu province, China. So that is a middleman, 100%, because it's not in an industrial park or anything like that. It's not an industrial zone. It's just an office building. Now, the next thing we want to look at is pictures, and these right away reveal if the manufacturer is a middleman or not. Now, a lot of suppliers on Alibaba, if you actually go and turn on verified supplier and trade assurance, then most likely you're not going to find suppliers that are lying about their supplier type. So they're not lying about being a factory when in fact they're a middleman. So right away you'll see, if you just go to the pictures, I actually looked at pictures of this one, and I'll show you guys later in this video because we're actually going to be doing a live. I'm going to be searching for suppliers live, and I'll show you guys everything I know. If you just stay tuned, then we'll see. Basically in the pictures, you can just tell right away it's an office building, and there's obviously no machines, there's no manufacturing equipment, and so obviously it's a middleman. So one more thing, this is an amazing trick that I've learned over the years. When in doubt, if you're speaking to a supplier and they claim that they're a factory and you think that they're a middleman, just ask them for a video call and ask them to show them their facility. And it's actually something that it's commonly held in e-commerce. It commonly happens. It's not anything out of the ordinary, so you shouldn't feel ashamed for asking for a video call showing the facility. So that's a great way right away to tell. If they're reluctant to give you a video call showing the facility and they're giving you these dumb excuses, well, I would not use that supplier because they're probably lying about their supplier type. So if you stay until the end, I'll show you how to easily recognize middlemen in seconds on Alibaba. Now let's talk about hack number 2. This one is incredibly important. Contacting multiple suppliers and rushing to invoice. So if you only contact one supplier, you're almost guaranteed to be getting ripped off either on price, on shipping, or on product quality. And unfortunately, many e-commerce beginners, Amazon beginners who are sourcing product from China, they only contact one supplier because they forget that, well, I guess they're just naive, and I was naive at the beginning too, just as any beginner. You just don't know. Well, when you're contacting one supplier, you're basically relying on their trust to tell you the accurate shipping price without, inflating it, without making it much higher than it should be. And the same thing with the actual price of the product and also the product quality. So you always want to be contacting more than one supplier because then you can cross-compare what they're saying, and then you kind of have a general idea of how much things cost for this product and how much shipping costs for this product. And so what I mean by rushing to invoice here in the title of this slide, you want to be as soon as you contact your suppliers, you want to ask them for an invoice for, tell them the number of units of product that you're going to order. So let's say you want to order 300 units or 400 units of product, and then you provide them your address. If you're selling, let's say in Amazon USA, you can just give them any Amazon USA address. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the Amazon warehouse. As long as it's in the United States, then the shipping is the same. And so just tell them what you want, air or sea shipping. You can ask them for quotes for both. So DHL, FedEx for air, or UPS, and then just ask them for sea shipping with their freight forwarder. And so just ask them for an invoice. Ask them for a pro forma invoice. It means like a preliminary invoice. And so what you want to do is you want to ask all of your suppliers. Let's say you contacted 3 to 5. And once you have 3 to 5 invoices in your email address, you can then compare the prices and you have an idea of what a fair price is for your product and your shipping costs. One of the biggest things with shipping is that's something that you just have to blindly trust unless you're contacting more than one supplier. This is the best way that I found to avoid overpaying for shipping and to make sure that, hey, this is actually accurate. Another amazing trick to know is that if you ask them for the total weight of the shipment, ask them for the total weight of the shipment. I didn't put this in here, but for those of you listening and only watching, this is golden. Ask them for the total weight of the shipment in kilograms. And if you go and just basically use a calculator, and let's say 300 kilos is the total weight of the shipment, it should be about $6 to $7 per kilo if it's air shipping. All right, so that's kind of a benchmark for air shipping. If it's a lot more expensive than that, well, then somebody is trying to rip you off and trying to give you the wrong price. Now, here's one incredible trick that you guys can use, and this is amazing for negotiating with suppliers. Let's say you've got 5 suppliers, and let's say that you filtered out a few, and you found one, a particular supplier, you like their product better, but let's say that their product is more expensive than the other invoices you got, and you have physical PDFs of these invoices in your email because you already asked the other suppliers for them. What you can do is you can go and find the other supplier's invoice where they offered a cheaper price for you, and you can blur out their name, just so that way, like if they know their competitor, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, no, they have bad quality. Just blur out their name and then take that invoice and send it to your supplier that you want to work with, and that way, like always, I guarantee it, for me at least, every single time it worked perfectly, and your supplier will give you the same price that is on that invoice, because obviously they see that, okay, it's a legitimate invoice from a competitor. I don't know who it is, but I don't want to lose this person's business. So another amazing trick. Now let's talk about hack number 3, and that is using Chinese Alibaba. So if you look at this crazy website, it looks like Alibaba, but everything is in Chinese. And so right away you might be afraid, like, Dan, how am I supposed to use Chinese Alibaba? I don't know Chinese. Well, I'm going to tell you that I've used this website over the years now, and all you have to do is use Google Translate, and you can just Google Translate the product keyword for your product. So let's say I'm sourcing a Sherpa blanket. By the way, it's just some blanket with like a soft material. That's all it is. So you put into Google Translate Sherpa blanket, and then you translate it to simplified Chinese. It has to be Chinese simplified. You put that in the search bar at the top, and then you will find prices for the product in the Chinese market. So Chinese Alibaba is primarily for the domestic market in China. And Chinese Alibaba is the biggest secret that most e-commerce sellers have no idea exists, because they only think about American or like international Alibaba in English. In fact, the prices on Chinese Alibaba, I found products on there at a fifth to a third of the cost on Alibaba International, or the one that for Americans or us Canadians or us Americans use, or us Europeans, right? So it's an amazing resource, and the trick is to use it as a guide, as an example of the best price you can get for your product from China. So if you see that a product is $8 on the international Alibaba, on the English Alibaba, you see it's $8, and then you go and search it up in Chinese using Google Translate on the Chinese Alibaba on 1688. By the way, it's 1688.com. That's the website, 1688.com. So if you go there and then you put in that your product on there in Chinese, and you see that the price is like $3 in US currency, well, now you know that you can kind of approach that number in your negotiations with your supplier that you found on the English website. Unfortunately, it's a really big hassle to actually use 1688 to source products from China. You have to hire an agent, things like that. So that's why it's best to just use it as an example, just to help out your negotiations. And you can also screenshot it and then send it to your main supplier, and then they'll say, oh wow, you know the Chinese market very well. That's what I've gotten many, many times, and this is something that advanced e-commerce sellers know about. So here's an example of a product, the Sherpa blanket, the one I was just talking about. It's just a soft blanket, that's what it is. And so the same thing on Alibaba that cost me $9, or as you can see, it's between 6 and 12. So what you would do is you would take the halfway point. 6 is if it's like if you order a lot more units, and 12 is if you order at the MOQ, so 500 pieces or below. Let's say we take the halfway point, 9. It's $9 per unit on Alibaba, and then on 1688, I typed it in Chinese, and it was 27 or about 30 yuan, Chinese yuan, which is $4 to $4.50 in US dollars on 1688. So literally less than half the price. Now, hack number 4, check the vital info on Alibaba for the supplier. And rarely anybody goes and checks the supplier's actual storefront on Alibaba. This is incredibly important information we should be looking at, and you should be looking at, to filter suppliers out even further and really make sure that you're finding the best one for your product. So the first one I want to talk about is the company name. And this is something that I didn't know about before a long time ago, and then I found out about it, and then I realized that, hey, like all of the company names on Alibaba, they all have a city name, a Chinese city name in front, except a few. So how come a few don't have it? And if there's a Chinese city name in front, so in the case of the picture on the bottom left here, Jiujiang, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I don't know Chinese. I probably should know Chinese, but it'd be useful. But Jiujiang right there, that's the city. And so Jiujiang is the city. Onino is whatever they decided to call their company, so it just means nothing, Onino. And then import and export company, that's the type of business they engage in. So that's clearly a trading company. So that's literally like a middleman. They're not even afraid to hide it, because most people just don't know about the fact that there's a lot of middlemen in Alibaba. So limited shows that they're a limited liability company, so there's a corporation, of course. And then if we compare the one on the left to the one on the right there, we can see that it's called Otsu Kiori, and then in brackets Wuxi. So Wuxi is actually the city, which means the company is registered in Wuxi. However, the one on the right is a foreign company. So the fact that it's a foreign company means that it's most likely a middleman. And even though it says textile manufacturing, so in the title it's like a factory, most likely it is a middleman, and they're just doing business outside. Well, they're doing business in China from outside of China. And so even though they have 10 years in business, just something good to know, because you're probably going to get much higher prices from them than from the one on the left. Now, some more really important vital information on Alibaba that you should be looking at is especially the company revenue. I found that if the company has above 1 million or 10 million in company revenue, then it is a good supplier and they know what they're doing. If the company revenue is in like the 500,000 or 200,000 range, it's very risky, and that could mean that they're brand new and they don't have any experience dealing with shipping to the United States or to Europe or to Canada or anywhere like that. So I would just be careful, and I'm going to show you guys exactly where to find all this information if you stay till the end. Don't worry, I know it's not seen in this slide right now, but I just want to explain it first, and then we can go and I can just show you live exactly how to find awesome suppliers for your product. Now, the next thing we want to look at is number of employees. So it could say like, 1 to 10 or 20 to 50 or 50 to 100 or 500 to 1,000. So the number of employees matters because if there are more employees, if there's like more than 500, it costs more to customize your product. I don't know why, it's just how it is. So it's a lot cheaper if you want to customize your product if the company has less employees. I guess there's less overhead, so it's just much easier to move quicker and like make changes to the product. So that's just something to know. And in 2019, the best way to differentiate yourself and to really blow up your brand and to really make sure and guarantee your product's going to succeed is by differentiating your product. I always talk about that in my videos. You always want to be at least trying to differentiate because if your product is better than everybody else, it's just much easier to sell even if you have less reviews. For example, in Amazon's case, if you're selling on Amazon. So the next thing that I found of the next piece of vital information on Alibaba is the phone number of the supplier. So what you want to do, and I've done this a lot of times, is you want to give them a call, literally on your phone, and see if somebody answers and picks up in English. And if they don't have anybody that speaks English, well, that's a problem. So it's a great way to see if the manufacturer is experienced in dealing with international customers, and it can really gauge their kind of quality, the supplier quality, based on their level of English. Of course, they're going to have an accent. That's natural. But if they can speak English with you, and if they have multiple people speaking English, then that's amazing. And now the last thing we want to look at is the product certifications. So you want to look at their certifications, and the two main ones are ISO and SGS. So ISO is this international certification standard, and SGS is another one as well. And so you just want to see if they have the certification required for your marketplace. It's not like incredibly important or vital to make sure that they've got this certification. If you're selling, let's say, on Amazon, you just want to make sure that the product is allowed to be sold on Amazon. And if required, if it's like a medical product, then obviously you need to have the certifications. But of course, the more certifications there are, then the better the supplier is. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you see ISO, if you see SGS, that's really, really good. And now the last hack is you must be using an amazing supplier contact template. And a lot of you, especially if you're brand new, if you're a beginner, you might not know what a template is, or like what you might have not seen a good supplier template. You might just be contacting suppliers, just typing out a simple message. That's not going to work. And I did that for a little bit when I first started, and I literally got like almost 0 replies, and I was wondering, what the heck, why am I getting no replies? So I've actually basically been using the same template for a while. I made a few changes, but I'm revealing the exact template that I use to contact suppliers every day for my products when I'm sourcing products, and I give this exclusively to my students. So far, I haven't released this anywhere else except to my students in the Amazon FBA Ecom Freedom course, which the link is below. That's my course and mentorship program. And so in there, I've given it to my students, but in this video, I'm going to be giving it to you guys. If you guys stay until the end of the video, it's completely free. It's going to take like 5 seconds to download, and then you can just go copy paste it into Alibaba, and it's going to make your life so much easier. So using a great supplier template is essential and will make you stand out from beginners writing simple messages in Alibaba, and you're making sure that they take you seriously as a brand and that they will actually reply to you, because most suppliers are just going to ignore basic emails. All right, guys, so now I'm on Alibaba, and I'm going to show you how to find a supplier using everything that I showed you in this video and everything I talked about, and I'm going to pretend as if I'm searching for a supplier for one of my products, for one of my brands. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's say that we are going to go and put in this Sherpa blanket. Let's just say, for example. All right, terribly original, right? So let's go and see. So right away, if you search it up, as you can see, 11,766 products, but only a few of these suppliers here that are selling this in the suppliers category are good. And so if we click on suppliers here, a lot of people don't know about this, but you can actually search by suppliers. And this is also an awesome way. If you can't find your product on Alibaba, you can just click on suppliers, and then you can go and then contact some of these suppliers who have products similar, and just ask them, hey, like, this is the product that I want to sell, and send them a screenshot, send them a picture from Amazon, from a competitor, something like that, and then they'll be able to find it for you. So let's go and turn on trade assurance, and then we'll also turn on verified supplier. For some reason, it's not showing the verified badge, but that's verified. So, okay, this one's interesting. This one's IO Tech's company. It doesn't say, it's not in the traditional like Chinese city name and then name of the company. So this could be a foreign company. It looks like Iowa Tech's. So now we're on the product page of the supplier, Iowa Tech's company, and it's not in the traditional name, so there's no Chinese name, so probably a foreign company. Now, if we look at business type, we can see that it's a manufacturer / trading company. And if it's only a manufacturer, if it only says manufacturer, sometimes they won't have an export license. And so what that means is that they're going to need to go through a trading company anyway because the trading company has an export license. So in this case, the manufacturer / trading company is the best way to go because then the factory who makes the product, they also have the export license. So they're located in Jiangsu. It doesn't show their revenue here, but this is where it would show their revenue. Total employees 50 to 100 people. That's not a lot. And then their main markets are Western Europe and North America. And so if we scroll down here, we'll be able to see their the pictures of the plant right here. So these are not the pictures. If we go to, all right, they got a product video here. So if we can just go and scroll. Actually, let's look at their address. So if we go to their contacts, actually, that's their contact us page. Okay, so it's room 601, Longshan Building, Hongwu North Road. So this tells me that they're probably on the 6th floor of some building here. Room 601, 602. So it could be just a trading company. We don't know. And we have to look at the pictures for the actual factory here. And so if we go and browse through these here, let's go and look at their video really quickly. We want to mute the sound. All right, so, okay, it's just like some video. All right, so look, this is an office. This is what a middleman looks like. So right away, this tells me this is a middleman. We don't want to deal with this supplier. So let's go and keep going. All right, so all of these are verified suppliers and trade. Like right here, it would say verified. I don't know why it's not working right now. But this one looks good. Let's say that the blue one is the one that we wanted. So Hangzhou Yintech's company, they've got their phone number right here. So that's where you would call them. And so if we scroll down, we can see 51 to 100 people. Year established 2011. Zhejiang, China is their province. If we scroll down, we can see all of the certifications. So they've got one certification, SGS, as you can see. And so if we keep looking here, 40% of the revenue is North America. And then they have an annual revenue of, and you can see the reviews here. There's not too many, but their annual revenue is confidential as well. Recently, a lot of the companies on here, they've actually been putting confidential. So this one, it says they had 40 transactions through Alibaba. One thing you have to remember is that a lot of transactions happen outside of Alibaba. And so that's something that I've found out over my years of sourcing products. And so, you know, you would just like send them, let's say a lot of my suppliers, I exclusively pay with PayPal because I'm always protected. So it's either PayPal or wire transfer with trusted suppliers once you already have a relationship. So if we keep going down here, let's go ahead and search, for example, like let's do like barbecue gloves, something more with a lot more suppliers here. So 1220, we want to turn on trade assurance, verified supplier. And trade assurance is just basically saying that if you do the transaction through Alibaba and then you keep the chat in Alibaba, then you're fully protected and you can get your money back if there's any problem with the product, like product quality or anything like that. Here we can see the amount of years they've been selling for. Here we can see the revenue here. So total revenue, 2.5 million to 5 million. So right away, it really easily shows us their revenue. So all of these are good here. And let's say that this red one is the one that we wanted. This one's 2 years. I don't know. Typically, the newer ones will give you a better price. But not always. All right, so if we keep looking here, let's keep looking here. And something also that we can do is we can go and look at the actual product category that they've listed themselves as on Alibaba. So if we just click on this one, for example, Xiaomen pre-industrial. And if we look at the product category here, we see impact gloves, winter waterproof gloves. This one's also a manufacturer / trading company. So that's the best if it's a manufacturer trading company, because then that means they can also you can use their freight forwarder for sea shipping and also for air shipping. So it just makes things a whole lot easier. Unless you want to use your own freight forwarder, then that's totally fine as well. So impact gloves, winter waterproof. So right away we can tell that they specialize in like these rubber type products. Which are gloves. If we look at their product categories here, they're all gloves. And so if you look at their main products here, and if it's a manufacturing trading company, and if it's all like, you know, let's say gloves, and then here we see, oh, well, they're selling also something that is a totally different manufacturing process than gloves, well, then we know that that product is, you know, they're a middleman for it. And so that's how that works. So this one, I would actually find a better supplier than this, someone that's been around longer. And yeah, and so I actually just use this this way. Like, I like the Supplier's way of doing this. It's just much better, because if we look at products here, you'll see a lot of products are just being, are just showing up from the same suppliers over and over and over again. And pretty much any supplier can source any of these. If you just send them your picture of what you want to do, of the product that you want to do, they'll be able to find it. They've got all the connections and they want your business. So now something I want to show you guys is this supplier that I found here, Jiande Xinjiang Import and Export Company. That means that this is a trading company. It's for sure a middleman, and clearly the third picture reveals the whole situation. This whole manufacturer is just this 4 people sitting around a computer playing flash games. I don't know, but like this picture right here, this could be just taken off Google Images. There's only 3 pictures here, so this is a supplier that I would definitely not use. They don't have any certifications, and yeah, it's just, obviously it looks very sketchy, and I highly doubt that they would even speak English if you go and try to call them on this phone number. Alright guys, so remember I talked about hack number 5. So right here, you can go ahead and get your free supplier template that I personally use for my suppliers and for finding suppliers. Link is down below, totally free. It's going to take you like 5 seconds. It's going to come right in your email, and then you can just go and copy paste it, and then just fill in the information. Make sure that you are filling in, where it says company name and things like that. And then, yeah, so you guys can just use that. That's the best supplier template that I found and that I've been using. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the tips. Now it's time for you guys to go and take action. So also, I mentioned the Ecom Freedom course. That's my mentorship program, and also the world's best Amazon FBA course. I've had thousands of students go through it. I've mentored thousands of students personally, and we've had tons of success stories on the channel as well. And so the link for that is below as well. If you want to get my mentorship, I will be taking it away very soon. So you can just go click on it, and then you'll be able to go and access my mentorship. There's going to be a link in there to message me to get started. All right, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. I also made a video on 3 incredibly profitable product ideas to launch on Amazon FBA, detailing the exact strategy that I would use. And so right now in 2019, if you go and watch that video and you apply those strategies, then I guarantee you're going to make bank, and you're going to actually be very successful if you go and you do it properly. So you guys can go watch that video. It's going to be up there. And then, yeah, once again, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.